So today we are talking about making a cash offer on a house without using a realtor. Can you even do that? Well, of course you can. It's not something that the regular average consumer does on their own, but it certainly can't be done. And with a cash offer, it actually kind of simplifies the process a little bit. Being a licensed realtor, going it alone is something that I don't really recommend. Licensed realtors bring a lot of value to the table. They know all of the contracts that you need, the addendums, the amendments, the disclosures, what's needed when and what's not needed when. They can negotiate on your behalf. They know the area. They know whether the house is valued right. All these things. And the price of that service is not coming out of your pocket. It's usually already baked into the seller's contract. So it is free representation to you. And so you really should think about taking that free representation. But there's a group of people who like to go it alone, and that's okay too. So if you're going to do that, what do you need to know? Well, I would say as a consumer, the first thing that you probably want to do is to deep dive into some information. Be prepared. Read books, read anything that you can find online, articles, whatever. Seep in as much of the information as you can about the process. There's so many nuances to it between different contracts and different addendums that may be necessary depending on your situation or the house that you're buying. There's too many to cover in a short video like this. So do your homework, get as familiar as you can with the process before you even start. Then I would say make a list of your priorities. So you know what you're looking for. Do you need your 3-bedroom, 2-car garage? It has to be in a specific school district. Get that list down so when you're looking at houses, you can immediately hone in on the ones that you're looking for sure. And when you find that area that you're looking in, get to know the values in that area. So you know what's going to be a good deal and what's not going to be a good deal. For the regular consumer, good valuation sites are like Trulia or Zillow or Redfin. None of them are perfect, but they'll at least give you an idea, a broad idea of what that particular home is going to be worth. Next, I would look into getting a real estate attorney. Even though I know you want to go it alone, attorneys can help you a lot in terms of filling out the right paperwork and knowing what things need to be added, what things don't need to be done. They are a wealth of information and they'll be able to help you out a lot. Next, you're going to want to find the documents that you're going to be using. First and foremost, obviously, is a purchase agreement. Now, the ones that the realtors use are copyrighted, so you can't use those, but there are free sites online, legal sites that you can download those documents. But just know that it's also not just the purchase agreement. There is things like lead-based paint if you're buying a house that was built before 1978, you need a lead-based paint addendum. So make sure that you do your homework so you know what documents beside the purchase agreement, what documents that you need for your particular situation and the house that you're buying. And finally, you actually get to start looking. So go to your sites, your realtor sites, and when you found some houses that you want to go look at, if it's a house that's already represented by an agent, which I assume that it will be, most of them will be, you need to call that listing agent and let them know that you want to go look at the house and set up that showing with them. If it's a FSBO, if it's for sale by owner, you will have the owner's phone number available to you. Call that owner and the same thing. Call them and set up a showing that you can come and look at the house. And if you like it and you're ready to make an offer, that is your next step. Make an offer on that house. And part of that is doing your due diligence for valuation. Go back to those home sites that I talked about. Make sure that your offer is somewhat in the value range. Or if you think based on the neighborhood that it's worth a little less, adjust your offer accordingly. But just know kind of what you're getting into so you're not offering too high or too low. Either one is kind of a bad deal. And when you're putting that offer together, just know that everything is negotiable. Not just the price, but who's paying the closing costs, what the closing date is going to be. Personal possessions. If there's a pool table in the basement and you want it, you can ask for it. Or if you want to close sooner than the seller wants to, they have the option. They can close early and rent back from you. That's called a seller rent back. That's an option too. All these things are options for you when you're putting together that offer. And all these things together make one giant picture of an offer. So it's not just the price, it's all of these things put together. And even some more things to think about are things like inspections, any contingencies, like do you need to sell your house before you can buy this one? Earnest money. Earnest money is typically 1% of the price that you're offering to buy the house for. But if you're in a super fast moving market where there's lots of buyers competing for the same house and you're in multiple offers, sometimes that earnest money gets a little higher because that's a signal to the seller that you are serious. Because if for some reason you don't close on that house, the seller gets to keep that money. So it just shows the seller that you've got some skin in the game. So earnest money can fluctuate, but it's typically 1%. And you're going to make that earnest money check out to either, if it's a house that's represented by an agent, you're going to make it out to that agent's brokerage. Or if it's a FSBO, you are going to make it out to the owner himself. Also, since this is a cash offer, when you're putting this offer together, another thing that you're going to need is some proof of funds. The seller's going to want to know that you've got the cash that you say that you have. So you could probably just print out your bank statement online, take out the information that bank account information, things like that. But just something that has your name on it and a date. Make sure that it's recent, that it's, not from 6 months ago, but a recent one. And it's got your name on it, and it shows that an account that's got the money that you say that you have. So you got all of that stuff together, right? So you have this huge offer, and you are then going to present that either to the seller's agent, if the house is being represented by an agent, or to the owner, if it's a for sale by owner property. And let's just say they say yes, and you have an accepted offer. Hooray for you. Just know that that offer is not officially binding until both parties have signed and both parties have a signed copy in their hands. That is when that offer is a binding contract. Okay, so next step. You are going to want to take a look at your calendar because you've got some timelines that you have to pay attention to if you don't want to lose your earnest money. Inspections. You will have put a date range of, say, maybe 7 days or 10 days, or maybe even shorter if your market is moving really fast, that you have said you will get your inspections done if that's what you're going to do. So if you're getting those inspections done, you need to have those done in time to, let's just say your window is 7 days. You need to have that inspection done. Let's just say you have that done in 3 days. You need to leave yourself some space at the end there after the inspection, because if this inspection comes back with problems, you need to also have time to renegotiate with the seller, either a price drop or the seller fixes something, anything like that. You need to have time to renegotiate that with the seller and have the seller accept all of that stuff. All has to be done within that 7-day window. And if not, you are in danger of losing your earnest money. So just pay attention to that timeline. Another timeline is the appraisal. You will want to have an appraisal done on the house to make sure that it is worth what you think it's worth, just to make sure that you are getting the deal that you think that you're getting. So that needs to be done before closing as well. And let's go back to those inspections for a second. Not only do you want to think about getting the house inspected in general, but depending on the circumstances, you may also want to have other inspections such as mold or radon or the structural integrity of the foundation if you're seeing cracks in it. And if you need to make those extra inspections, you can renegotiate that inspection window with the seller as well to make sure that all of that gets done in time. And the last bit of information about inspections, just know that if you've had all of your inspections and there's problems and you've been negotiating with the seller and you can't come to an agreement, if your contract is if you've got an inspection contingency in your contract, that should allow you to back out of the deal at that point and keep your earnest money. Okay, the next thing on the list is the title company. I strongly recommend hiring a title company to work through any title issues that you may have. Title companies don't cost very much money, and they do a great job. They will pull the title to that house. They will make sure that it is free of any liens or encumbrances or anybody else. Make sure that nobody else has a claim at this point to that property. That then brings me to the next point, which is title insurance. Since you don't have a lender, there will be no lender's policy, but you will have the option of buying an owner's policy. And an owner's title policy protects you from, let's just say the house was sold 3 owners back and there's a grandchild that nobody knew about who says, wait a minute, that house is mine. I was the rightful heir to that house and nobody knew about this person. An owner's title policy protects you from those kinds of clouded title issues. So something that I highly recommend. Okay, so you slogged your way through all of that. We're almost to closing day, but not quite. One last thing that you want to make sure that you take care of is a final walkthrough. Do it the morning of closing, the day before closing, no more than a week prior to closing. Because what you want to do is go through that house one more time and make sure that it's in effectively the same condition as it was when you saw it the first time. You want to make sure that anything they said they would take away, they did. Anything that they said that they would leave there, they've left there. Just to make sure that it's basically the same property that you agreed to buy. Then closing day. So you finally made it. It's closing day. What is closing day? What happens on closing day? Well, a couple of things. You will get your final document signed at that point. When you do that, possession is transferred. You will actually have the actual transfer of possession at that point. And at the same time, the closing companies, the title companies will transfer the funds at that point. And just remember, when you're bringing funds to the table, don't bring cash. Don't bring a personal check. You must bring a cashier's check. So that's it. Those are all the steps involved in buying a house for cash without a realtor. If you are, however, still weighing your options and you're thinking about going the traditional road, you can go ahead and click on this video right here for information on the conventional loans with only 5% down. Thanks for joining me today, and I will see you guys next time.